The internet tax bill, which requires online retailers to tax customers and then send that tax to the state in which they live, easily passed the Senate last night, but the bill could face tough challenges now in the House. Representative Steve Daines is a Republican from Montana. He joins us live, where there is no sales tax. And Representative Derek Kilmer is a Democrat from Washington. He's a co-sponsor of the bill in the House. Congressman, good morning. Thank you for joining us on CNBC.
Good morning.
Congressman Daines, this passed so easily with bipartisan support in the Senate. Why, as a Republican, will you oppose it in the House?
Well, you're going to see some bipartisan opposition. In fact, our two Democratic senators in the Senate voted against that bill last night in the Senate. But I've been in business for 28 years, and one of the fastest ways to slow down growth and innovation is to tax it and regulate it. This is a $23 billion tax increase coming right out of the pockets of hardworking American families and men and women. And it's going to add regulatory burden. There's 9,600 different tax jurisdictions that businesses will have to comply with to sort this out if this bill is passed.
And Congressman Kilmer, it's probably important to note, as the front page of USA Today points out, that there are inevitably certain states around the union that are going to have much bigger tax bills than others. Texas, Florida, Arizona. This is really a geographical division as well.
Well, at the end of the day, the reason you've seen business groups around this country support this, and you've seen bipartisan support, is that it's about fairness. You've got bricks and mortar retailers in every state in our country that are right now put at a competitive disadvantage. I spent the last decade working in economic development in Washington State, and you see some that are really hanging on for dear life right now, and some who've lost that battle. This is a step towards trying to level the playing field so that they can compete.
Congressman Daines, I'm curious, you raised this idea of a lot of paperwork, perhaps, that retailers would have to go through. But I understand advocates for this online sales tax say, hey, there's a lot of technology out there that's going to make it possible to make this very simple. And in fact, a lot of the states that want to collect the tax will provide the companies with the free software to do so.
Well, thanks to technology, that will help. But nonetheless, there's still going to be audits and so forth and legal challenges that need to be dealt with. And I think the reason you're seeing big business behind this, because big business has the accountants, the lawyers, and so forth to comply with this law, is the small businesses right now that don't have the lobbyists up on Capitol Hill that are going to lose here because they don't have a voice here in Washington. And that's what I'm speaking up on behalf of. These small businesses are trying to start up with this new innovation, e-commerce, the internet. The last thing we want to do right now is go in and raise taxes and put this regulatory burden on top of them when they don't have the army of consultants that the big businesses do.
But that's not strictly true, is it, Congressman Daines? There is one group of people that is clearly absent in this debate, and that is the small businesses that over the last decade or so who were on Main Street have been thrown to the wall because they were undercut by the online retailers. It's okay for eBay to now present itself as the champion of small business, but it's a very one-sided champion in this discussion, isn't it?
Well, they don't have, you don't have the lobbyists, and setting eBay aside for a moment here, there are thousands of small businesses across this country right now that don't have a voice on Capitol Hill. And they're trying to get started up here, grow their companies, hire more people. And the last thing we want to do here is take $23 billion out of the pockets of Americans and add this burden of regulations on top of them.
Well, at the end of the day, I think it's important to point out, though, this is about growing jobs, not about growing taxes. You could come to a community like mine. A few weeks back, when we went and shopped for a bicycle for my daughter Sophie for her birthday, we went to the local sporting goods store. She was able to drive the bike around. Why should that business be put at a competitive disadvantage, having to have us pay sales tax on that purchase when we could go online and just buy the same thing without paying sales tax? That puts our Main Street small businesses at a competitive disadvantage. And it's why you see groups like the Retail Federation, which represents small retailers, supporting this bill.
Congressman Kilmer, where are we in terms of you guys having the votes to actually carry the day on this?
Well, you saw a very strong bipartisan vote out of the United States Senate last night. Not just Democrats, but Republicans like John McCain and John Thune and others supporting this bill. That suggests that this is not a Democratic or Republican issue. This is a bill that's really about trying to help our small businesses compete at a time where they need all the help they can get.
Congressman Daines?
Well, let me say this. I come from a state that does not have a sales tax. And we are running budget surpluses right now in the state of Montana, and we don't need to be one of those states here clamoring, saying we need more revenue here taken out of pockets of Americans. I think it's important that states balance their budget to run surpluses. And my good friend here from Washington, he comes from a great state. Well, they're running budget deficits right now. I can tell you, you can balance your budgets without having sales tax and online revenues coming from a tax like this. So that's why I tell you the folks in Montana and many other states are going to oppose this legislation.
Right. Congressman Kilmer, I'm sure you would say that it was more about fairness than tax collection ultimately, but what is now the timetable for the vote? When can we expect some sort of resolution, do you think?
You know, I think that remains to be seen, but you've seen a very strong focus by Democrats and Republicans, by small businesses. You know, you've got, and I appreciate my friend Steve's, parochial interest here in Montana. You've got 46 states right now where their bricks and mortar retailers are on their heels. This is a step forward to try to help them, and I hope the U.S. House will act.
And we'll watch with interest as the debate plays out. Congressman, thank you for your time. Have a great day.